I met this girl and I loved her. She made me so happy and I enjoyed every second of being with her. Something happened to her and she would ignore me all the time and not respond to her texts. She stopped posting on all her social medias and had me blocked on everything. I kept texting her of what was wrong because I cared, and I was scared because I didn't know what she was going through. But she would never respond to me, which really hurt my feelings. So I eventually just had enough of her, so I text her that I am going to her house to retrieve my hoodie. I did this because I was so hurt by her and I loved her so much, and just not knowing what was going on with her really hurt me. And it made me crazy just always thinking about her and if she's okay. When I get to her house, I don't even see her. My hoodie is outside on the grass. So I go to pick it up and I tell her that I am sorry. She responds to me and tells me to leave her and her family alone and for me just to leave. I left really sad and upset, and I felt like I could have just done things differently and better. I took the hoodie home and placed it on my nightstand. 3 months later, I never heard back from her. I stared at the hoodie and noticed a rip that was never there before. So I go to pick it up and I take a closer look at it and I notice a flashing small light. And to my surprise, it was a camera. She was spying on me this whole time. All my private information she had. Then I get a spam of emails saying that all my login information was changed and I was locked out of everything. Since I worked from home, there was a breach in my job security and I was instantly fired. I never understood why she did that to me. One day we were in love, and then the next day she just doesn't respond and now attacks me, as if I did something wrong to her. I guess I learned that you can't trust anybody, and that as much as you think you know someone, you really don't. Everyone has their secrets. You never know the person sleeping next to you, and you never will. Thanks everyone for watching. If you enjoyed my narrations and the Assassin Rappers animations, then please smash a like on this video. And yeah, guys, see you in the next one.
Close your eyes. Let your muscles rest. Unclench your jaw. Your eyelids are heavy, too heavy, as if anvils weigh them down. Your feet are like anchors digging into the floor. Your legs are made of lead. You melt into your chair. Now breathe. In, out. Deep breaths. You feel yourself drifting. In, out. Now sleep. This is a dream. In the dream, you're free to move. You're in a long, narrow hallway. The light is dim, but you can see enough. There are 2 doors ahead. You choose one, left or right. Make your choice and move to it. You lay your hand on the knob. It's cold. You turn it and walk inside. The door closes behind you. The room is dark. There are no light switches or bulbs. It's dark, and it is meant to be dark. You know it is not empty. You know you are not the only living thing in the room. You can almost hear it. You're afraid, but you have to walk through. The door behind you is no longer there. There is nothing behind you but the wall. The thing in the dark can see you. It watches. You start to walk across the dark room. Your shoe sticks to the floor the farther you move, as if you were walking on a floor coated in molasses. It gets harder to move. The floor is soft now. The thing in the room is watching you struggle. It knows you're afraid. It wants you to be. Your legs are stuck. You can't move. You're sinking. Reach out and see what you can grab. Yes. There. Almost there. Reach. Take it. It feels soft under your fingers. Soft like skin. Hard like bone. As you close your hand around it, fur brushes your palm. You let go, too scared to hold on, but you're still sinking. It's up to your waist. And as you search for something else to hold on to, you sink down to your stomach, your chest, your neck. As you struggle, your arms stuck in place, you look up and you think you can see it. Yes, it's there, crouched in the corner. You see only its outline. The thing that lived under your bed when you were small. It watches you as you sink. Your mouth goes under. Your nose. You can't breathe. The black fills your eyes. The darkness is all there is. The hallway stretches before you. Long and narrow. Dim. A door stands at the end. Only one door now. The door you didn't take. You refuse to enter. You know that from this room there is no exit. So you turn back to the hallway and run. But it stretches on and on. It's endless. There is no beginning, no end. You stop running. You're not tired. You don't sweat. It's as if you didn't run at all. Behind you, the door is now open. Flashes of artificial blue light pulse from the room beyond. There is no other way. You walk through the threshold and go inside. Your father sleeps on the recliner. Your mother is upstairs reading in her room. You turn your attention to the TV and notice it's one of your favorite shows, the one you watched after school every day when you were younger. But it's an episode you've never seen. You thought you had seen them all. But the characters are behaving strangely, not like their usual selves. They're awkward and stiff, as if they know you're watching them, as if they're performing for your sake. You rush to the TV and turn it off. Behind you, your father snores on the recliner. You turn and watch him. You study his face, his belly, the valleys of his eyes. It looks just like him, but it isn't him. You know with every bone in your body, this is not your father, and the woman upstairs is not your mother. This house looks like your childhood home, but it is a copy. A pulse of light through the window, quick flashes. You look out and see construction workers fixing a pothole in the street. A police officer stands by. But they are not doing their jobs. They are only pretending. They know you're there. They turn their heads and watch you. You duck and close the blinds. The snoring thing on the recliner does not move. Somewhere else in the house, something is making noise. Upstairs. The mother. She's walking around, looking for something. She calls your name. Her feet are on the stairs, ready to come down. You run across the house to the kitchen. You look through the glass pane of the back door. It is too dark to see anything outside. The door won't open. You can't get out, but you wouldn't want to anyway because there are things in the brush and in the neighbors' houses. You can't see them, but you know they're there. And they're here, too, in the copy of your house. They are standing behind you with bare feet on the kitchen tile. They wear your parents' faces. They are waiting for you to turn around. You wake up. You are safe in your bed, the middle of the night. It was a dream. It is 9 minutes to 3. The sky is still dark. There are shadows in your room. You know there is nothing in them. If you turn on the lights, nothing will be there. But as long as the darkness is there, you wonder. You doubt yourself. Your feet lay open. They tingle with the expectation of something grabbing them and pulling you away. But there is nothing in the dark. And even as you tell yourself this, you look away from the black. You close your eyes and hope you fall asleep before you can think about it any longer. Some part of you knows the truth. When you look forward, they're at your back. When you are in the light, they are in the dark. When you drive on a lone road in the night and your rear-view mirror feels like eyes watching from the back seat, you know you are not alone. That cold thing in your stomach, that air of anticipation as your feet hang from the edge of the bed, it is them. It is us. Your legs were heavy, now they're light. Your eyelids, nothing weighs them down anymore. We are here. 3, 2, 1.
Wake up.
She was afraid of the stars. On cloudless nights, when they were out and shining, she would close every curtain in the house. When I asked why, she said they were eyes. They were watching. It started one summer when we went camping. Dad took us to the mountains. He always said we would go. We spent the day hiking and fishing, swimming. It was perfect. The night came, and you wouldn't believe the darkness, like a blanket over the earth, like nothing was there at all, except for the sky. The stars burned like silver fire above us. My sister watched them with awe and wonder. "What do you think is up there?" she asked me. "Nothing," I said. "You have no imagination. The possibilities are endless." After that night, Emily would never wonder about what was up there again. We talked in our tent until we fell asleep. I've thought a lot about it since. About those last moments of normalcy. The thing is, I don't remember falling asleep or even getting tired. The more I think about it, the more I'm certain that I didn't. I never fell asleep. Emily was just gone. I waited at first. I tried to sleep, but my body wouldn't let me. It was as if I knew something was wrong. After a long while, I realized she wasn't coming back. I left the tent and called to her. There was only black out there. That and the smell. I couldn't place it. It wasn't exactly burning rubber. Nothing as grating as that, but something like it. It was faint, like something had been there. A sheen, or maybe a train. Something massive. When there was no answer from the woods, I went to my father's tent. I opened the tent zipper and saw there was no one inside. I stood there, unsure of what to do. Part of me knew they were most likely just gone for the moment, that they would be back in minutes and everything would be fine. But in that dark, and with only a slight push of the wind making any sound at all, I did wonder, what if they never came back? What if I never saw them again? That's when I saw the light. It lit the hill to the north. On the other side would be the road we had taken to get here. I walked to it. The light was steady. I held my hand out ahead, blocking the beam as I climbed the hill. My father's pickup truck was running, its headlights burning toward me. I walked to the driver's side of the car. My father was sitting inside. His eyes followed me as I moved to him. He smiled. Emily was sitting in the passenger side, staring ahead. I wondered then if I was dreaming, but the moment dragged and I could feel the cold of the night making my skin prickle and my bare feet getting wet from the dew on the grass. I was awake. "What's going on?" I asked. "We'll sleep in a hotel tonight," he told me. "Why? What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. We're just going now. We'll be back for our things in the morning." He smiled a fixed smile and reached across my sister's lap to open the passenger door for me. In complete confusion, but with no wish to stay there alone, I walked to the front of the car and got in beside my sister. My father pulled the gear to reverse. There was a slight dip in the short hill, and I was able to see our campsite as the headlights passed over it. There was a man standing between the two tents. He was grinning. I made no sound. I was too terrified. As we drove the winding road, I wondered if he had been there standing in the dark while I was searching for my sister. I knew he had been wearing a dark suit, and that something about him was wrong. But as we drove on, my memory of him faded. I couldn't retain any details. At the motel, my father got a room for him and one for us. Emily immediately went to the bathroom. When she came out, she said nothing, but just crawled under the covers. I tried to ask her what was happening. She didn't say anything. She just lay with her back to me and fell asleep. Or pretended to. Without wanting to turn on the TV, but being scared and feeling totally alone, I moved to the curtains and pulled them back to look at the parking lot outside. Maybe I could pass the time by people watching. "Close it!" Emily yelled. I was startled to the point where I did nothing, just stood there and looked at her. She jumped up and ran across the room. She pulled the curtains from my hands and closed them tight. She held the fabric like it was all that stood between us and a raging fire. "Don't open it," she told me. She never explained why, but her fear was infectious. When I went to bed, I couldn't sleep. I would keep turning my eyes to the curtains. They were lit from the back by lights in the parking lot. I kept waiting for a silhouette to creep along. I saw all kinds of things in my mind, but nothing came. The fear followed me as I finally did fall asleep. I had a dream that I woke in the middle of the night. Something was bothering me, a sound. At first I couldn't tell what it was. Then I realized it was whispering. It was coming from Emily's side of the room. I could hardly see anything in the dark, but I could tell she was not in bed. Emily was just a shape in the darkness, standing against the wall next to the open bathroom door. She was facing me. I wondered why she didn't say anything. After a few moments, my eyes adjusted and I could tell she was barely awake. Maybe not at all. Her eyes were only partly open, and all I could see were the whites. The voice, the whispering, it wasn't coming from her. It was a man's voice. It was coming from inside the bathroom. Even though all I wanted was to run, for some reason I turned and looked, but the bathroom was too dark. I couldn't see anything, only hear it. But the words were too fast to discern, and they were not in English. I ran back to the bed and covered my ears. I remained like that until I fell asleep. It was many years before I could admit to myself that it hadn't been a dream. Emily was never the same again. She would never go out after sunset, not even to the porch. Our father died some years after that. On the night of his wake, we stayed up at the kitchen table talking. I told her I barely remembered how he used to be before that night. She said her and my father had conversations about what had happened. They spoke about it every night. That took me by surprise. He had never mentioned anything to me. They said they would talk all through the night until dawn. Partly because they were afraid to go to sleep at night. And then she told me what the man had said to her. The man I saw in our campsite. The man who whispered from the bathroom that night and would sometimes come to see her on the nights she was alone. His name is Indrid Cold, she told me. He's from a place called Gathering. The more I tried to understand, the less anything made sense. You saw him? I asked her. You know him? I don't know why he's always smiling like that, she said. She was trembling. I woke in the middle of the night. She had begged me not to go to sleep, but I couldn't keep my eyes open. I felt guilty leaving her alone at the kitchen table, drinking her coffee, but I didn't believe there was anything to be afraid of. Whatever happened had happened many years ago, and I had no reason to fear the night. Before I had said goodnight and gone to bed, Emily told me one last thing. We will see you again, she said. That's what he always says when he leaves. When I woke, I felt something was wrong. It was the same feeling I had in the tent all those years ago. My stomach clenched and soured. I felt something pulling at me to go to the window. When I looked out, all I saw was the silent dirt road, the grass and single street lamp. I looked up to the sky, expecting to see the moon or an array of stars, but there was nothing, just black. I assumed there was a cloud overhead, and then I smelled it again. Not quite burning rubber. It wasn't until weeks later that the thought occurred to me that something may have been there, blocking the sky. Something so big I couldn't see its edge. The entire house was ransacked. Everything had been thrown to the floor, broken, ripped. I wouldn't have slept through it. I wake up at the slightest sounds, and this was chaos. Emily wasn't in the kitchen. She wasn't in her room or outside. My sister was nowhere. I was the only one home. But I didn't feel alone. And I haven't since.